This is Optometrists Building Empires, and I'm your host, Ankit Patel. Each week, we'll explore the journey of multi-practice ownership and leadership in optometry. Join us for insights and strategies from the top minds in our field. This show is sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team helps your office increase revenues, reduce costs, and reduce staffing headaches. Let's build your empire together. Today's guest is a real dynamo. He's an optometrist who works with keratoconus, irregular corneas, ortho-K, myopia management, vision-related learning disorders, and binocular vision dysfunctions. On top of practicing optometry, he lectures all around the country, teaching other doctors these specialties. He's a past president of Orange County Optometric Society and an adjunct professor at Southern College of Optometry. He's also a Vision Source Administrator and VP of Innovation at Treehouse Eyes. He's a visionary partner at Insight Vision Center Optometry, Optometry Corner, and Eyecon Optometry. Please welcome Dr. Thanh Mai. Thanh, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to have the conversation and talk about something that you and I are very passionate about, which is the interesting niche of multi-location practice ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was serious about the dynamo piece. Like you have a really interesting perspective on the business. So I'm excited to dig in.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
So we'll jump into the first question. What was the most important thing that helped you grow your empire?
Yeah, I would say I stumbled upon this, but the most important thing that I did was when I first started 9 years ago was I asked my partner Valerie, hey, let's open a practice together. And what I inadvertently stumbled upon was kind of the rule in Silicon Valley where most investors want to invest not in solo entrepreneurs, but partnerships. And the reason why they do that is because inevitably with every good business, there's someone I call the visionary and someone I call the integrator. And so I stole that term from EOS, which is what we run at our practice. It's called the Entrepreneur Operating System. But in the EOS model, the visionary is the person whose idea it is to open the practice in the first place. They've got like 20,000 ideas going through their mind. They're big on relationships, R&D, and getting just like big thinking. Like the 10x is easier than 2x for them, right? Versus the integrator actually says, okay, crazy person, like to get this done, we have to just focus on these 3 or 4 things first and actually execute one of the things at a time. They're more structured, more organized. They're more likely to clean up the mess that the visionary makes. And so what I found was when I partnered with Val, I was visionary and she was integrator. And it really, really played to our strengths. And now I would say that would be the first most important thing we stumbled upon. It's the formula of success in terms of the integrated visionary role. And then from that on, you have your sales and marketing, your operations and financials. And you have to blend and meld all 3 pieces. Then the second most important thing I would say is that we learned the algebra of wealth. And the algebra of wealth is focusing on really a few core things and being world-class at it. And to be world-class at anything, though, some people think that you have to spend like 50,000 hours studying like ortho-K. And I actually don't think that's true at all. I said, just get started. Like, don't have this imposter syndrome of like attending a million conferences. Just start one at a time. So we had that, that less of an imposter syndrome. And so we just dove into specializing in vision therapy, myopia management, scleral contact lenses. And for us, basically there's no practice that does all 3 in the country. It's very unusual because I'll have a day where I'll do like a binocular vision case, and then I'll have the next patient myopia management, and then I'll have a scleral contact lens in the same day. And that's when we first got started. We were doing all those things. And so by focusing on those niches, that's where we really specialized. Our first practice, we have basically like, I think I sell like 1 pair of glasses a day, or maybe 2. But we've got a staff of, I don't know, 20 to 30 at this point and 5 docs. And so, but we don't do any glasses. It's just all those specialties. And that's what has really propelled us. And that's what we're trying to install and scale and expand to other locations to add these specialties and really hit on niches. And so those are, I say, the 2 things. It's finding good people putting in the right seats, and then also focusing on a few key things.
Yeah, it even sounds like finding good people, find the right people to complement your skill set. So it sounds like you had some sort of self-awareness. Hey, well, you kind of stumbled into it, but you gave that person, your partner, leeway to say like, you do the nuts and bolts and integrate, and I will focus on like ideas for growth. Is that about right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, you mentioned something really smart. So there's right people, and then there's right seats, right? So they're on the bus, yes or no? And then what seat should they be on the bus? So first of all, are they the right person? Do they share all your core values? That's number one. If they don't, they're just off the bus. That's just done. Like if they have one negative on your core value, let's say one of your core values is integrity and hard work, and they lack work ethic, and they stole one thing from you, then they're off the bus immediately. That's not even a question. But even some optometrists, unfortunately, we get that wrong because we're very compassionate people and we keep people that shouldn't be on the bus longer than they should. And then the second thing is actually the most common thing by far. It's now you're the right person on the right seat. That's obvious. They stay on your team. Wrong person, wrong seat, they're off the team, right? It's the two in the middle that people really mess up with. It's basically dynamo salesperson, but slightly toxic to the sales culture, to the practice culture. But they're amazing with the patients.
Yeah.
They're really good at sales. They're really good with the patients, but they're kind of slightly toxic, and we keep that person around a little bit too long. And also, but the most sinister one is actually this one, and the biggest category by far in every business is Sally is really sweet and she's the nicest person on the planet. She definitely should be on the bus, but she really is not good at what she does. Like she's super nice, but like things have changed. Maybe you're trying to transition to EMR, and you're trying to do sales different ways and have new technologies and institute new specialty niches. But she just like can't handle it. Like she can barely navigate around a computer, but
Yeah.
she's so sweet, and we keep Sally forever because she's so nice. And most businesses probably have like 60% of them could be Sally's because we can't get rid of them because they're so nice. But unfortunately, it could be really damaging to the business. So those are the four things that happen. But Sally is the most common one.
Yeah. So tell me, that's interesting because like yeah, that's we run EOS as well, and that was the biggest insight I had was like, oh, I see now where I'm messing up. And one other thing I find is that the people who you keep on longer will actually um, discourage and bring down your people who are the right people, right seat, right
That's
bus.
right.
So that actually can make it even worse because not only do you have to deal with poor performers or poor cultural person, then you lose your good performers too.
And that's key. Like in Jim Collins' Good to Great book, when he talks about leadership, like there's two ways to have good leaders. Either you buy the leaders or you build the leaders.
Mm.
And leadership is the most important thing in running a business. So buying a leader means, I'm saying it kind of facetiously, but basically means like, hey, I need an office manager now. So, and by the way, when do you need an office manager? In the growth curve of our first business or in any business, first you're struggling at the beginning just to get patients in the door. And then you have a staff, 2 or 3 staff, and you're having fun because you're in control of everything. Because one of the most biggest human needs and drives for human behavior is the need for certainty. And so when you're having 2 or 3 staff and all the patients taken care of, you feel very certain, you're having fun. Then you head into this white water area where you're having like, I'd say 800K to 1.2 million in gross is where you have a big decision to make. It's whether you stay having fun, where you're in control of everything. And you can control everything when you're a staff of 3 or 4 people, and you can see all the patients yourself and not have an associate and manage them. And you can stay there forever, 800 to 1.2 million, and be a solo doc, right? That's probably the most common practice. But then you have to make a decision whether you want to scale or not. And to that, you need leadership. You need systems and processes in place. That's what gets you out of what we call whitewater into the predictable success curve. And so, in terms of buying or building leaders, like in the Jim Collins book, he's Good to Great. He says, okay, you can either buy an office manager from outside or buy someone and have them come in and have them kind of take over, actually run the business for you. But the best way and what's most sustainable in most of these businesses that actually last and scale forever, like Apple or like the really killer businesses like Amazon or Disney, is that they usually build leadership within. And so they're always trying. So let's say the CEO of Apple leaves tomorrow. Ideally, they're looking for one of the senior vice presidents to take that spot. They're not going to ideally hire the
Yeah.
Starbucks CEO and bring him in. Now, of course, that could happen, but usually in these big businesses, it doesn't work out as well as businesses that actually constantly promote within, and they don't last
Yeah.
the test of time. They do okay. And so what we do is we try to build leadership within. We have someone, our office manager right now in our first location. We hired her from Panera Bread, and then she was our technician. And
Mhm.
then she was also all answering the phones and our administrator, doing back end stuff, billing and taking phone calls. And then all of a sudden, she was selling glasses. And then we're like, we could you kind of have done it all. And then we slowly groomed her over a period of time where we said, okay, we're going to train you to become the office manager. Now, here's one key thing that most people make a mistake about. They either hire an office manager and say, you're the office manager. And what we normally do is we promote two ways. One way is the better way, one way is the worst way. The worst way is we promote based off of past performance. And
Hmm.
so what I mean by that is we're like, hey, she was a great technician, a great optician, and a great receptionist. She was an A plus in everywhere because based on past performance, I'm going to elevate her to office manager. But a better way to do it is actually to elevate her based on potential leadership ability. And so what you should do instead is this: you should say you never say, hey, you should be the office manager. Let's just now you're in charge. It's hey, let's have a conversation where we think you should be the office manager. And now I'm going to start handing off projects to you. And I'm going to start having you run some of these meetings, slowly see if you can do it or not. And then we did that. We had her start meeting one-on-one with staff. We started having her run meetings, and we'd watch her run the meetings. She watched us, of course, and then we gave her some feedback. She improved. And then after a period of time, we said, "Now you're the office manager because you've demonstrated the potential for doing it because
Yeah.
we've been watching it work hand in
Yeah.
hand with you." And that's the main difference. Yeah. So don't elevate just your best employee. You just groom them, promote them, and then based off of what you see is that they're actually doing the work.
Yeah, that's actually great insight. So let me ask you this: as you are growing your practices, what are some things you ran into that you didn't expect?
Ah, good question. Um, by far, I'd say it's the economy of leadership is this. The one thing I didn't expect. So I hear I'm still on the fence about so many things. I'll give you an example of a dichotomy of leadership. It's you should empower your staff and let them make decisions for you. Make them make decisions for the best interest of the business, and you should trust your staff. At the same time, uh, they don't necessarily have the same incentives and the same work ethic and the same like strategy you do in terms of building a business. And so an example is like if you run a business and you say, well, it's so obvious to grow this business. We need to be patient centric, right? We need to take care of the patients to the moon. And you say, okay, if a patient shows up at 5, let's say you close at 6 o'clock and patient shows up at 5:59, my answer would be, of course you take care of the patient, right? And of course that sounds like the right answer, but it's not always the right answer. The reason why it's not always the right answer is because if it happens so often, your staff will leave you because now they're gonna take the patient at 5:59. Now they're leaving at 7, and so basically, you have a conundrum where you're always balancing. In my opinion, a lot of business decisions is you are the integrator for most things. Being the integrator means you balance sales and marketing, operations, and financials. So, sales and marketing hat on, you always take the patient at 5:59 p.m. Now, of course, it should always happen, but because you always want more business, you want to take care of the patients. If the patients are happy, you're gonna get more sales and more marketing, right? The problem with that is that and the financial guy is happy because they're making more sales. But the problem with that is that person is not happy because now they're always running ragged every day. And if they run ragged all the day, then they leave you. And if they leave you, now you have a problem with all sales and marketing. You have a lot of one-time customers
Yeah.
because operations just can't catch up and stay happy. So you have to make all the decisions and balance these things constantly. I would say that was my biggest struggle because I was all about making the patient happy, but I wasn't always about making the staff happy.
Interesting. I'm guessing that's a story that actually happened a couple times.
Yeah, definitely. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
You balance making the patient happy or making the staff happy. Staff's like, "I'll kill you if you book another patient." And you're like, "Well, the patient, they have a problem."
Yeah.
So, it's a balance. Now, there's sometimes you do have the right what I love is when you win in all 3 categories. I'll give you an example of a decision we made this year where we won in all 3 categories, which we love. So, office hours, like right now at your practice, what are your office hours?
Basically depends on the location, but usually Monday through Friday or Tuesday through Friday or Tuesday through Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. So the office hours are a big part of a lot of things. It's a big part of sales and marketing because it's your office hours and operations to see patients or more patients or less patients. It's also a big operational thing because one of the biggest things new employees are looking for, especially the youngest ones, are your hours. Like am I working like 10 to 7 or I'm working 8 to 5 or what am I doing? And so I'll give you an example of something we did this year. We surveyed our staff and we actually had researched some of the stuff looking at companies in Japan. And we're like, okay, well, right now everyone's working 5 8-hour days. What if we worked, 4 10s, or what if we worked three 12s, like a nurse, right? And so we said, okay, well, staff, what would you prefer, 5 8s or 4 10s? And in California, it's interesting. We actually have to hold a vote, and make a ballot cast if you change it, and you have to submit your new plans to the EDD or something like that to the state of California. So we said, okay, well, we want to change you all from 5/8 to 4/10s. What do you think? Unanimous. Everyone voted yes. And then so we switched it. And what's great about it is then we shuffled and we expanded hours. So now everyone's working 10-hour days, but we expanded hours from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And so everyone works 8 to 7, but they only work 4 days a week. So they get a whole day off instead of working, 9 to 6 is what we had before. And what we learned was we won in all three categories. First of all, by being open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., are the patients happier? Yes. Because now some of the people want to come in at 8 a.m. We never saw them before. Some people want to come after 6. We never, especially the people who are coming in after school. A lot of our patients come in after work. They were able to be seen later. So the patients were happier. 1, 2. Staff was happier because they got 3-day weekends. They got like a day off to do their errands. Also, we have less people calling out sick and less people asking for time off, because sometimes you need a weekday off to do your errands. But now they always have a Monday off, or Wednesday off, or Thursday off. They take care of it. So our sick time and call-outs went down. So operations was happier. And it was also a good selling point for future hires. They're like, oh, I only work 4 days a week? That sounds cooler than 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So it helped our operations. And then sales and the financial guy said, well, it's the same amount of hours, because everyone's only working 4/10s. It's the same as working 5/8 in terms of like the financial piece, in terms of payroll. Now you did expand your operations, so we did have to add counts, because we had to shuffle hire additional person. But because we're open more hours, seeing more patients, and the operations are happy, the financial guy, we're winning. We're making more money this year by a lot. So sometimes you make a decision like that, where it's an economy of leadership where you actually win, because you actually win in all three cylinders. And so those are the type of decisions I say that unexpected things like that are what come up. But when you thread the needle right, that's when you win.
Yeah, I'm wondering. It's really interesting you say that. We interviewed another guest recently, who's been on the podcast. I think his podcast is out, Dr. Levine, in Baltimore. He has about 10, 11 locations. He said the same thing for staffing. He said we moved to a 4-day week and expanded hours, and now
Yeah,
it's easier to get doctors, easier to get staff, and it's been a win-win. He's not as he does some specialty, but he's more just straight retail, right? Like a lot of like glasses and contact sales. He does all of it. He's a full scope practice. So but
awesome.
his business. So I thought, okay, this is the second time I'm hearing it from a multi-location owner. So maybe there's something to that, especially from just where I can tell, if you have a good, happy staff, you have good, happy patients, right? And
Yep.
so that I think there's a lot there, like you said, there's a lot of synergy there. It might be something to it. Especially what I find is that, and let me know if you find this, and this might be a topic worth exploring. The patients who are our best patients are the ones that want to see us because of what we have to offer. The folks who we just want to come in to get the refract and go, they're not always the best patients, and they're the ones that want the convenience, weekends, nights, but they tend to. We're not the best fit for them,
Absolutely.
because we're not value vision or whatever, right? We don't have the high volume, we don't have the lowest prices like that, and so it's I don't know. Have you found that as well? Like, hey, the patients that want to see you, they wait for you anyways.
Absolutely. Like that's actually one of the reasons why we decided to focus on our specialties. So when we do our vision therapy patients, or scleral lens patients, or myopia patients, they're extremely, extremely, extremely loyal. We have patients that come in from outside the country, fly in, they come in from other states. I have a patient that drives and sees me every 3 months from Kansas to California. She drives, doesn't fly. Um, and for myopia management. And the reason why we're able to expand our reach was because we're really good at digital marketing. And so we kind of like, by the way, we blog posts, we have videos, and we've got YouTube pages and Instagrams, videos that have millions of views and things like that. And and because we were able to expand and reach people across the country because of our focus on these specialties. And what's great about them is too, it's one, they're not in it just to, it's not transactional anymore. It's not, I just pair of glasses and I go. They came because they got a really big problem, and they will go to the ends of the earth to find the answer to the solution. And so we focus on things like traumatic brain injury, which is what we do. People that have, let's say, brain surgery, they go double vision. They'll come find us, and it doesn't matter if I say it's going to be $10,000 or $1,000. They're going to pay and be happy to do so, and also come back every year.
Yeah,
And so
it's not a commoditized service, right? It's
exactly,
like it's a specialty that requires a lot. I think
exactly,
it's a cool story. I don't know if this is real or not, but Henry Ford, back in the day when he was back, way back when, he had a machine that was broken that was building his cars, and he hired a guy. And I think the story that I heard, he paid him like $5,000, which is a lot. And he's right; it's like it's a lot. And the guy came in, looked around for about 20 minutes, drew a circle, and said, "Hey, you need to do this to this spot, like add some fluid, some grease, and just tighten these screws, and it'll work just fine." And he's like, "Why'd I pay you $5,000 for just drawing a circle and telling me that stuff?" He's like, "The circle is free. You paid $5,000 to know where the circle was drawn." Right?
Yeah,
And so,
that's such a great thing. Exactly. It's like, um, it's one of my favorite pie charts. I that story you just mentioned remind me of this pie chart of it's like what you know is like a tiny piece of this pie. What you know you don't know is another piece of the pie. Let's say 20% of it. But like 80% of the pie is like what you don't know, you don't even know.
yeah, yeah, it's that blind spot. I think is, yeah, it's a really cool concept. There's also another concept called Johari window. I don't know if you've
Yes,
heard of that. Yeah,
I've heard of that.
yeah. Basically, it's like it's more about your personal awareness and self-awareness, but that's a cool concept. If people want to look it up, it's Johari, window.
I actually talk about that with my staff. I mentioned the Johari window with them when it comes to vision therapy patients.
Oh,
So when a patient comes from vision therapy, they're children, a lot of them, and a lot of them they have like a low level of energy. Some people have a high level of energy, and so if you try to match the Johari window, they come in with low energy, and you come in there, you're super excited. Oh my god, it's so exciting to see you. What are you doing for spring break? Like, this guy's just weird. He's outside my window. So if they're kind of low, I might come in a little bit low to establish that rapport. If they're super high and antsy, I'm super high and antsy with them. And so you try to hit that Johari window sometimes.
interesting. Match the energy. I like
Yeah,
that.
match the energy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that could probably be true across the board with every patient,
Yeah, it really is.
not just
You, you,
kids.
you don't treat people the way you want to be treated. You treat patients the way they want to be treated. It's
Yeah, the
match.
platinum rule, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the platinum rule. Exactly.
So can you, right now, a lot of folks are having challenges with staffing or billing and filing. How are you dealing with staffing challenges, if at all? If you're doing a great job with it, tell us your secret. If you're having struggles, how do you kind of combat struggles you have with staffing challenges?
Yeah, great question. Um, so the first hours we opened, just a backstory. I opened one cold with my partner that was 9 years old, and then we acquired two more. But so I'll talk mostly about the first one because I acquired the other two recently. Um, in terms of staffing issues, what we found was, by the way, we had our Thanksgiving potluck yesterday at my first practice, which is amazing. And what we did first was say something that they were thankful for. And my culture at that first business is A plus plus plus. Like, oh my god, I just love it so much. I can't believe I built this practice. I just pinch myself because all the staff love to be there, and so we all what we were right around and said what we're thankful for. A lot of them were like, we're thankful for just working with each other, and then they truly meant it. And let me tell you how we got there. Um, a few things in terms of staffing challenges. When you scale a business, um, you go again. I mentioned like you got 0 to 4 staff, you can handle that all yourself. 5 to 8 staff is a tipping point of you probably need an office manager if you want to still continue seeing patients. Now, if you're a great manager, then you have to stop seeing patients to actually take care of the team. But someone has to take care of the team, and so you have to build that leadership in there. And so, how you build a great culture, and how is that you have the right leadership team in place and the right culture, and it starts at the top. And so how we won was as we saw more patients got busy, we decided we're not great at management. And we did the who, not how of how to create a great culture by getting the right leaders in place and promoting the people within who knew all the staff and knew what they liked and was with it and working side by side with them in the weeds of it. So they're not out of touch management like we could be sometimes in the exam lane seeing patients. And so one, elevating the right managers and having the right people be your chief of operations and taking care of the team and setting the office hours and holding people accountable is one. But the second thing also we found was we started in 2019. I like to say we did a lot of things before it was cool for everyone else. So in 2019, no one else had virtual assistants.
Mm.
Now a ton of people do. But in 2018, 19, no one did. We were one of the first people that did it. And now I think I've got like 10 or 12 of them. And they are in charge of answering phone calls. They're in charge of doing billing. They're in charge of ordering contact lenses. They can even design my ortho-K and scleral and redesign scleral lenses for me. They send the topographies to the consultants. They actually order them for me now. I just ask them. They are my medical scribe as well as doing interviewing other people. Now they also do our interviewing. They also interview applicants and help us hire onboard people. They run my payroll. So we've kind of farmed all those things, outsourced that out. And that's really the difference between scaling a business and duplicating profits. So there's a key difference between those two things. When you have multiple locations, if you want to scale your business, let me give you a mini blueprint for scaling your business. Where you get in trouble is when you're trying to duplicate businesses. What I mean by that is you have one business and you're going to duplicate it again, again, again. And then what happens is you have twice the amount of work when you have location number two, and then three times the amount of work when you have location number three, right? What you want to do is you want to scale the business by having redundant processes that have economy of scale where you're kind of centralizing it in one spot. So ideally, when you scale, you think about pulling out one person that does the interviewing for all three locations on Indeed. Like
Yeah.
they're the professional interviewer. One person does payroll for all three locations. A centralized call center for all three locations. And things like that don't have to be done in the office. We can actually have people offshore, which we do in the Philippines and South America, to help to do those things. And what I found was those people that are offshore, like that you built at my business care team, they are really good at. They're just like A players, and they're really hardworking, and they're just phenomenal at doing that. So I think those two things, elevating good leadership, but also finding these great people, not necessarily within your geographic area, has built our culture to amazing levels.
Yeah. That's actually great insight. And almost like, like you said, scale versus duplication. It's like economies of scale, right? You should get easier with more, not harder.
It should get easier. Like to me, like what's more stressful? So most people think like, oh, a $10 million business would be way more stressful than a $1 million business. In my experience, no,
No,
it's not true at all. Like I barely have to work at all if I don't want to, because you can hire the right people
you
to
can
take
hire the
your
right people. Yeah. You can afford it. Yeah.
exactly. You can literally do nothing. Like you can be the owner and operator any seat in any business. So you can take yourself out of every business by replacing yourself with other doctors, other people to run the staff. And it's way less stressful. So I'm 10 times happier now with a busier practice with multiple locations and do less work than when I had just one staff person and I, was there
Yeah.
by far. Not even close.
Well, so let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about future state. I wanted to see how your brain thinks. You've been giving us a lot of great nuggets and insights, but if you had a double or triple the size of your business, how would you do it? Like, what would be your first steps? How would you approach doing that?
Great question. So let's go crazy. Let's say I want to 10x the business
Yeah.
in 3 years.
I like it.
And so it's kind of I learned this from my psychologist. It's like, okay, most people they think like, well, I'm here today because of where I came from, like who I grew up with, who my family is. But a better framework would be, I'm here now, and I'm going to remodel the past and make it whatever I want it to be to become who I am today. And any past traumas, I use that as a strength. Going forward, I kind of do the same thing in terms of goal setting. So what is a better way of instead of saying I'm here today, I'm trying to grow 10% a year because because that's what I want to do, right? Based on where I'm at. A better thing to say is, hey, I actually want to have. It's up to you. If you want to have $100 million business, you would say, okay, I want to do that in 3 years. Let's say you would actually start there first. And imagine in your mind you're there now, and then work backwards to what do I have to do today to make that true. So if you wanted to make, let's say, 100 locations, 200 locations, you would have to be like, wow, oh, okay, what's stopping me from doing that? I would need to hire a bunch of people. I'd probably have to have 100 locations. I'd have to have a big team, and I'd also have to have a lot of money to make that happen because I can't do that without a lot of money. And so, like, well, if I have to do that now, I guess either I have to get a bank to give me a ton of money and have a ton of debt, but probably no bank would loan me $100 million because I'm only worth, you know, five to ten
Whatever.
million dollars, right? And so, okay, now I have to get investors then. And so you work backwards, and then now, okay, now I'm gonna find investors. I'm gonna convince a guy with deep pockets I've got a model that can scale, and then convince him that it works because of past performance. I can show him my P&Ls, and then he's like, okay, I'll give you $10 million to open 10 more. And if it works really well, then now I'll give you more money to open 100 more. And so that's an example of the proper goal setting to 2 or 3 extra bits would be start where you want to go first and then work backwards. The 2 extra bits in 3 years, that's I think that you can do it organic without raising any money.
Mm.
You can either just buy another practice yourself, acquire 1 or 2 more, just grow organically that way. Put the leadership team in place, scale out operations at the next business you're taking out, like take out the phones again, take out the billing, and just you're just about hiring a few additional people, and you just replace one person, which is the owner. Not too difficult, but again, yeah, it depends on your goals, which is corny, but it's all about the vision. It's all about the goals.
Yeah. That's actually really good insight. How you'd approach it based off of the way you how big you want to get. So,
Yeah.
uh, so let me ask. So you've talked about a lot of business. I want to talk about you a little bit now. So, give me some moments in your life that you felt were very formative for you. They made you who you are. So, it could have been you were in second grade watching a movie or something. You're like, oh, that really impacted me. Or it could have been in college, or it could have been last week, right? But something that's really visceral, really emotional, impact that had an impact, made you who you are today.
Yeah. Um, I discovered this. I remember this distinctly like yesterday, and I wasn't prepared for this question, but now this is the first thing that popped into my head was I was at UCLA. So I went to so I'm a SoCal guy. I grew up in Southern California. I went to UCLA and then went to the SCCO in Fullerton in Southern California also. Um, and I was a freshman in college, and I was sitting there, and my friend texted me, "Don, like," and he didn't have a great GPA, but he's a really hard worker, really nice guy, one of my best friends. He's like, "I got into UCLA." And the minute he texted me that thing, I slammed my desk and I said, "Yes!" And what I knew from then on, that was just my visceral reaction. I couldn't even hide. I literally slammed the desk and was jumping around. But when I got into UCLA, I didn't even like. I said, "Oh, great," which is I'm not sure as good as a character flaw. I should probably celebrate more with my personal accomplishments. But I've learned is that I just love it when other people accomplish more than when I accomplish more. And even though that sounds corny, it's so true, and it's my visceral reaction to when other people are doing really well. Like Ankit, if your business is taking off, this podcast has like 1 million subscribers and you've got like 20 locations, I'll be happier for you than if I do that. And so what I love now today, these days, is that I love growing my businesses. I love taking care of the staff and patients. But I also love helping other optometrists. That's why I became a visual administrator, and I love helping the other doctors in my local network grow their practices and answering their questions. That's why I joined Trios Eyes, because I'm trying to help eliminate myopia from the face of the planet across the country. And so with Trios Eyes, I've got bigger reach to help more doctors install myopia products within their business, because there's a few key nuggets that they're missing to really grow a great myopia practice. And when we help them unlock those things, their myopia business takes off, and then they take home more kids. And so even though it's more lucrative for me to build my own business, I actually rather enjoy spending time like teaching at the college, practice management. They pay me pennies, but that's like my favorite day of the year is when I drive in and I talk to the students, because they're very appreciative, and they're hoping to grow a prize of their dreams, and it's just fun to see that.
That's great. And so let's um let's time travel a little bit. So you've built a lot of insights over the years, uh, and you've had a lot of formative experiences. But now let's rewind. And it's 4 days after you graduated from OD school. And what would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Ooh, good question. Um, Again, I got lucky with this, but I'd say I guess I forgot the third most important piece to building a business is, first is, for me, finding the right people to work with. Second is focusing on a few key niches. But the third is, you need to find a mentor. Like, so one of my favorite sayings is success leaves clues. That's a Tony Robbins thing. And I, Finding a mentor early on, and really keeping in touch with them and having them teach you the ways. If I wanted to learn how to play golf, what's the first thing I would do? I'd hire a
Approach,
coach.
yeah.
Yeah, like that, and that's what I did to play. I learned how to play golf, and so now I'm picking up pickleball, and I'm gonna hire a pickleball coach. And so if you're one thing optometrists do is they cheap out and they try to build a business by themselves. But if you really want to be smart, if you're trying to make a $5 million business or $2 million business or $10 million business or whatever, you just find the person that's done it before, and then you do something crazy. Yeah, what they tell you to do, you listen to them, which is hard for a lot of people to do. Sometimes they hire a coach and they don't want to listen to them. It's amazing. Um, so yeah, so that'd be the one thing that I'd say would separate me even faster is finding a great mentor early on. And so now what I'm doing is I had a consulting team when I first opened Cole, which has been one of the best decisions I ever did. And now when I'm looking into multi-location, it's stranger for where we are, Ankit, is that there are not a lot of other optometrists that have done multi-location. There are very few actually. And
Yeah.
so we have to find something as a mentor outside the industry. And so that's what I'm doing right now, finding mentors and coaches and network outside the industry. And that's where I'm at now.
Nice. And yeah, I think you're right. There's not that many. I did the research. I think it's about 10 or 12,000 people. Yeah, somewhere around there at most, and there's like 100,000 optometrists or something. It's
Right.
less than 10%. So,
Less less than
but
10% for
but
sure.
the so you told us you were playing golf. What else are you doing for fun? Like, what do you do to blow off steam or just have fun?
Yeah, so I'm picking up golf. It's a really fascinating sport because the ball doesn't move, but it's so hard, and so it's it's a very fun psychological thing. Besides that, of course, I got 2 kids. I've got a loving wife, and that's one thing. One of them, actually, another impactful moment in my life was when I read this book called The 4 Hour Work Week
Tim
uh,
Ferriss. Yeah.
by Tim Ferriss. I love, and I listened to this podcast, and it is one of the best books I recommend for any optometrist. Is because it's all about building a business that serves you. So the mistake people make is they, especially with baby boomers and Gen X, is that they kind of kill themselves at work sometimes
Mhm.
because they're constantly trying to grow and climb the ladder. But it's not about it's not about money. It's about what money gets you, and what money gets you is time with your family,
Mm.
right? And time to do golf and time to enjoy yourself, and also, but at the same time to do work because I personally love my job. I'm currently retired because I loved every day going to work. I wouldn't change anything. If you gave me $1 billion, I don't think I would do anything different today than talk to you right now because what we're talking right now is fun. And so, the way the book for our work group was is all about building the business that serves you, and then getting yourself out of all the seats and doing what you love. And if you're doing what you love every day, then you won the game. It's not about working 40 hours a week, but it's about doing what you love and 10xing your results by delegating and eliminating things that aren't right for you.
Some great insights. What I'm hearing is a theme of focus, right? Get help. Know where you're not good. Focus.
Yeah, so one of my favorite sayings is like, "Don't tell me your priorities, show me your calendar." So on my calendar, if I've got dinner date with my wife, if I got swim team with my son, or if I got gymnastics with my daughter, that is in stone, and nothing in my work would never replace that. Like if someone says, "Todd, like you have to go to the business meeting," I'm like, "No,
Got something going on.
no, I don't take my daughter to gymnastics." And so I take my kids to school every morning. I'm at every soccer game. I'm at every swim meet. I take my daughter to gymnastics on Friday. I'm doing it today, and like those things are core for me. And so that'd be something that in terms of I do for fun. I make sure that all my fun there is the most important thing.
Scheduled fun. I like it. Put it on your calendar first.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can't tell me you love your family if they're not on your calendar to
Yeah.
actually like go on dinner dates with your wife. Then you don't love your wife if she's not on your calendar.
Oh, well, there is some truth to that, I think. So, um, so, so before either one of us might get divorced here, but let's jump into another question I have for you before we go, which is kind of interesting. That I want curious your perspective on it. What are you most excited about the field of optometry?
Yeah. Oh man. I'm super excited for everything. A lot of things in the future. I'm really excited about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited for the fact that optometrists, our scope of practice continues to expand and patients need us more than ever. So when I talk to a pre-optometry kid or optometry student, like people have been worried about like autorefractors and LASIK surgery, making it go out of business forever, and then now online glasses. It's never true. Like we are more necessary now than ever before. And what I'm really interested in is artificial intelligence and how it can really elevate what we do. It's so one of my rocks this quarter. A rock is basically the most important thing I'm working on this quarter is to think about how to install artificial intelligence in the business to make our lives all easier. So we're doing that in a few ways. One, we used to have a virtual scribe. Now we have AI scribe. And so I'm using one called Get Freed right now. I love it. It works really well. I'm sure there are ones that will integrate with practice management systems in the future very soon, like Crystal PM. I know they're working on one that would actually probably scribe and do ambient AI. So my friend at Kaiser, they do ambient AI that listens to all the primary care visits. She's a primary care doctor, and then they help scribe and even helps to code the visit based on the conversation that they have in the room.
Nice.
And it's pretty smart. So basically, like in terms of like scribing, ordering things, billing, or even our operations manual. Like there's a company called Klarna that they saved $100 million a year because they actually had an AI help to answer a lot of the customer inquiries. But they also had an internal AI called Kiki that answered like they had like 1,000 inquiries from their own employees about like benefits and
Yeah.
office hours and the questions you buy your office manager with. So I created a GPT that answers a lot of FAQs and questions. I upload a 500-page office manual that no one really reads. I put it into a GPT. So now, exactly. So now they can ask. I'm trying to have my team just ask the GPT before they ask me. And so things like that. And I'll give you an example. I did a lecture a couple weeks ago on keratoconus, and it was called modern technologies for keratoconus. All I did was this. I asked ChatGPT, "Hey, I'm giving a lecture for an hour. Give me an outline of mastering modern technologies for keratoconus." It gave me an outline. I fed that outline into Gamma.ai to
Mhm.
make the PowerPoint. That made the PowerPoint, and I just rolled it and gave it. And so, like, things like that is like, I'm really excited for where AI will take optometry, but also even the human race. And so that's something that I'm interested in doing more about in the future.
Well, that's exciting. So, so Ton, where can people connect with you if they want to connect and find out more?
Yeah, they can certainly email me. You can email. I don't know if I should give it. Yeah, I'll give it out because I'm sure it's fine. You can do Dr. Mai, DRMAI, at Insight Vision. That's Insight, INSIGHT Vision, then OC, like Orange County.com. They can also find me, of course, on LinkedIn, and I'm always on like Facebook and all those things like that. I get a lot of people randomly message me on Facebook Messenger all the time, but I love it. I love helping other optometrists. They also, most of the questions are usually about myopia management. A lot of it's also about like opening cold and things like that. And happy to help anyone. It's my passion to help other optometrists.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Dr. Mai.
Appreciate the time. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. And thank you again, audience. If you learned something, enjoyed something, please share the podcast and videos with your friends and family and peers. Thanks again, Dr. Mai. This has been another exciting episode of Optometrists Building Empires. See you next time. That's a wrap on another episode of Optometrists Building Empires. Thanks for joining. For show notes and more, visit buildingempires.live. This show is proudly sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team was born out of staffing challenges my wife and I faced together, managing multiple optometry locations. We refined our approach at Classic Vision Care and now offer our expertise to others. If you're experiencing challenges with staffing and you'd like to set up a discovery call, we'd be happy to help you and connect you with the right resources. We'll see you next time.